Before, it was just a pie-in-the-sky pipe dream, but a new report says that a Nintendo Switch Mini might actually become a reality. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce, and today I've got Gabe here tapping into a report from Bloomberg Technology about how Citygroup Inc. states that Nintendo may release a Switch Mini before March 2019.
Zach, this is a beautiful and genius idea. This is a perfect way to segue away from the Nintendo 3DS, finally. That I believe that handheld system has had a great life, but I think it's run its course. We do have a bunch of games still coming, as we can tell from the Direct the other day. There was a lot of focus on 3DS, and
Right.
You know, multiple Nintendo executives have said that they still intend for the 3DS to be like a pillar for them. But a year from now, a year and a half from now, maybe, phase out the 3DS, make the Switch Mini a reality. Because honestly, it's a great idea. It's better for younger kids, like way smaller kids that, you know, the current Switch might be a little bit too big for. Maybe they have like really tiny hands. So honestly, if Nintendo doesn't do this, I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, it looks to be an interesting move, and one that Citygroup Inc. is backing up by stating, as you mentioned, that, you know, handhelds, portables have long been sort of Nintendo's stronghold, and this Switch may be too heavy, too big for smaller children, and eventually, as they do phase out the 3DS, the 2DS, that they'll need something to fill that gap. They'll need something to sort of complete their ecosystem, complete the family of devices. And if you look right now, they've got the Switch at $300, the new 3DS XL at $200, the new 3DS regular at $200, and the 2DS at $80. And that $80 price point is incredibly low. But soon, you know, the 3DS, while not this year, but eventually, will run its course. And then what? And then what do you do? What's your lower point of entry? And so this is very interesting, and we've talked about this months ago as more of like a crazy hypothetical, but they are totally commenting on this as a legitimate prediction and as a legitimate note that they have given to investors, stating that, hey, we think Nintendo is going to launch a lighter dedicated handheld version of the Switch, possibly called the Switch Mini, before March 2019.
And the images that you're seeing in this video are just mock-ups that were made. We saw them on NeoGAF. And the only concern I have, and this is like just pure semantics, but the Nintendo Switch is called a Switch for a reason. Because
Right.
you can take it with you and you can put it on the dock and, you know, stuff like that. So if this was like a Switch Mini, it wouldn't share that feature, at least not from these mock-ups, because this mock-up shows that there is no Joy-Con. It's just like one like small console. Kind of think of it like the Game Boy Advance. That's what it reminds me of the most.
Or like a very miniature version of the Wii U gamepad.
Yes.
So the way that they, this NeoGAF user, JTS, has done a phenomenal job of sort of recapping Nintendo as well as these mock-ups, basically removing the Joy-Con and basically trying to find ways to cut cost as much as possible. And the thinking here is that the Switch would eventually become a brand name more than a function name. And so Switch moves away from, the fact that it can switch and is just Nintendo's, sort of like DS for years was Nintendo's like go-to brand. That Switch would be their brand. Now, JTS hypothesizes that maybe it still could dock, it just wouldn't be required to dock. Like, it still would be compatible with the OG Switch dock, but it could be entirely portable, and they would save money. He lists quite a bit of detail here on saving money on no Joy-Con, you know, so it would eliminate 2 Bluetooth chips, 1 IR camera, 2 batteries, at least 1 gyro. You know, you remove things by making it smaller. You get rid of the cost of the dock and the cost of the USB-C and HDMI and all that stuff on the dock, and could drop this price to try and eventually fit that sub, you know, 200, eventually sub 150 price point that the Switch is not going to hit for years.
It's not possible. The dimensions of the dock are pretty specific to the size of this. Like, I don't know how you fit like a smaller like Switch.
Well, remember, the only thing that's connecting the dock though is that bottom port. So you could stick an iPod in there as long as it had the correct port.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, it wouldn't fit like well. Like, there's no way. Like, just think about it. Unless the Switch Mini was like the exact same length as the Switch, which it's not gonna be. at least hypothetically. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I think if they do this, it would be sans dock, and it would be completely standalone. But then again, the name is just like semantics. You can call it the Switch and have it not like Switch.
Right.
But yeah, I really don't see it releasing and still being able to fit in that dock. But I could be wrong. Who knows?
Do you think that do you think that this does see a smaller form factor that is standalone though?
Yeah. Why not?
I feel like eventually Nintendo will make a new version, a new iteration, and whether that's a smaller version, a more high-powered version.
Some people would say maybe a bigger version. I mean, who knows?
I feel like eventually, though, Citigroup is on the money with them wanting to fill in sort of that lower end of the price spectrum.
Sure.
And so
Good
a
point.
mini to me then makes more sense than a Pro,
Mm-hmm.
I just find it hard that Nintendo would want to completely abandon the Switch functionality, but in order to make this viable, you would need it to play all the Switch games and utilize that base. I don't foresee Nintendo going and being like, "Oh, we're going to make a new handheld that has different games." So it still has to be compatible with Joy-Con, or at least have the built-in capability to be compatible with Joy-Con. So I think that's why in this mock-up, he is saying like, hey, it would be smaller, it would have a 4-inch display, it would have a real D-pad, no detachable Joy-Cons, but still would be compatible with all Switch accessories.
To be clear, 4 inches is like tiny. So I don't know.
But think about
that.
3DS screens.
Like your phone is like more than 4 inches now.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole 4-inch thing. Like, whatever. Again, semantics. And it's the word of the day here. But, yeah, I don't see how it fits into the dock. But I think have a dedicated one. And like you said, you're going to come in at a lower price point. And yes, you still call it the Switch. But it's not meant for the most hardcore gamers. It's meant for probably younger children.
Sure.
Things of that nature. The 3DS's low cost of entry is why so many of them get sold. And yeah, 200's like a lot still, kind of, but
that's the new 3DS. The old 3DS can be had for far less.
Yes, and the
original
2DS
3DS
can be, you said $80, I believe, right?
Right, yeah.
So I don't think that they go anywhere that low as far as the price range, but maybe $150. I think that's still like budget enough to where like a lot of parents will like buy it.
For sure,
for their younger kids. Like,
well, and once
parents have bought handhelds for a lot more.
If they do plan on eventually ditching the 3DS and they do plan on unifying, eventually the titles like Pokemon and the new Super Mario Bros. Brand and things of that nature that previously were housed on the 3DS and previously were targeted to a handheld and at times a younger audience, I think this is Nintendo's way to sort of cater to both markets. And it is true that eventually, whether it's due to 3DS or whether it's due to needing a new something to jolt sales. We see Xbox introducing Scorpio. We saw PlayStation introduce the Slim and the Pro. It's inevitable that Nintendo will iterate, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think it's just what exactly does that entail, and how are they able to walk that line of maintaining Switch game compatibility, maintaining Switch idea compatibility, while finding a way to mess with the form factor and not mess with the function. So
Zachary.
Yes.
The 3DS came out in 2011. That was a long time ago, man.
And just to point out, so you're aware and so everyone's aware, that 3DS came in with a screen at 3.53 inches.
Yes,
So
I remember that. This
big.
was the first iteration of the 3DS, of course.
Yeah, and if you're looking to come in the cheap end, this isn't going to be the console we play on, right? This is not going to be the console that the hardcore followers of this channel or the hardcore followers of Nintendo play on. But looking to hit that lower end and that younger end of the market is a smart play, and one that Nintendo has done time and time again. So inevitably, it's going to happen. And I just think it's interesting that they're already discussing it, they're already predicting it, and that they say, Citygroup didn't predict how much the Switch Mini would cost, but they estimated it could sell 6.7 million in the first 12 months, which I think is interesting.
Crazy.
That they're giving so many details on something that previously we thought was hypothetical, but I mean,
take
still
it with
is
a grain
for
of
now,
salt. But
of course,
now there's
take it
a
with a grain
little
of
bit
salt.
more credence.
Yeah, and I think that they're advising investors on this, and so we shall see. Let us know in the comments down below if you think a Switch Mini is headed our way as soon as next year. And if so, how would they make it work? That's what I'm most curious about, guys and girls. Let us know in the comments down below how you think Nintendo would change up, slim down, shrink the form factor, cheapen the price point without losing functionality, or what would be their justification for dropping certain functionality and still maintaining it as part of the Switch family. Let us know down there. We definitely want to hear your take and your thoughts. I'm very excited to see any creative comments that we get. And for now, we'll just file this away as a potential future excitement. Until then, though, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Make sure that like button if you enjoyed the video. We got a link to the full report in the description down below. And until next time, hit that subscription button if you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest from Switch and any other breaking news that may come our way. Until then, though, everybody, thanks again. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.